We are back. Welcome back to the D1Softball podcast, part of the Learfield family and Varsity Network. I'm your host, Jenna Becerra, and I'm back with guest co-host, D1Softball senior writer, and the first hire, we believe, for D1 as well, Rhiannon Potkey. Rhiannon, thank you for saying yes to coming back. Didn't scare you off the first time.
No, I was excited. I love coming back. I love the first one. So hopefully, second of many more appearances, because it's always a fun time with you.
I love that. I agree. So I'm glad that the feeling is mutual. Well, we have plenty to talk about too. So before we jump in really quick, a reminder, if you're on the go and you want to stay connected to live college sports anywhere in the country, download the free Varsity Network app available on Apple and Android. With new features this season, it's easier than ever to listen live and keep up with your favorite teams and podcasts. So don't miss a moment. Get the Varsity Network app now. I say this every week because it's true. I use it. Like, I listen into radio broadcasts and things, especially like early in the season. You don't know, not everything's on streaming or TV, and people do a good job there.
I use it year round for all sports. I love it. I mean, it's one of the first go-tos. I'm sometimes on a bike ride. I want to listen to the game or some games.
Yeah.
It is great. I agree. The ad read is legit.
Yeah. Appreciate you. Thank you, Rhiannon. And for today's lineup, we are going to talk through the new top 25 rankings, give some thoughts on week 5. Then we'll head into our interview for the day with Kendall Wells from Oklahoma. Super excited about that. And then, of course, our plays of the week, win and whiff of the week, and what's next. Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's go top 25. This seems like it's always just a hot topic week to week. Fans are glued to these types of discussions. And I get it. You care about how, I guess, like across the country, what the narrative is around your team. And it's this almost, I think fans feel like, are you respecting my team or not? If that makes sense. Which I don't know if it's that serious in reality because, these are rankings, right? Like, let's let it play out. But it's still very fun to talk about every week.
Yeah, there's passion on many sides of this when you have rankings, which is why people do rankings, because it gets engagement. So that's it's always a week to week thing, but some people, take it really personally.
Yeah. And I'm glad they care though, right? It's the growth of the sport in a lot of ways.
It'd be worse if no one who cares where we are or what this team or, Exactly. And I'm glad people actually, some of them have like legit arguments, that they back up with facts. Some people just like to yell and I say, show your work, and they can't. Right. That's the ones I don't. But the people that actually but what about this and this road win? I'm like, okay, yeah, good.
Those are fair. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do our best to show our work here. That's for sure. So with that being said, if we look at what it looks like this week, the top 25, we saw a lot of movement early on, as we typically do in the rankings, because lots is going on in the preseason sort of slate. A lot of games too. Now that we're entering into conference play, this is what it looks like, but really it's largely the same right now. So 1 through 9 stays put. Tennessee, of course, continuing to hold down the top spot. They're still undefeated, 23-0 after week 5, after a series sweep over LSU to open SEC play. Of note, too, Virginia Tech joins the top 10 after an undefeated showing in their final non-conference tournament of the year. And in terms of movement, most only moved 1 or 2 spots, but the biggest moves, Oklahoma State dropped 3 spots after losing the series to UCF. On the flip side, the Knights actually jumped up 8 spots after winning the road series. So they sit at 17, Oklahoma State at 15. And then Oregon dropped 4 spots, and this comes after being upset by Nevada. So Oregon sitting at 21. And then at the bottom, in those last few slots, re-entering the poll, number 23, Washington, who swept Northwestern in Big Ten play. And then number 25, Clemson, who took the series from Georgia Tech in the ACC. So SEC has 11 teams, ACC 5, 4 apiece in the Big 12 and the Big 10. And then the Mountain West, still represented by GCU at number 22. They continue to hold it down. So, Rhiannon, I'd love to know your thoughts just on the fact that some of it hasn't changed much from week to week, but also there have been a little bit that we've noticed that has shifted slightly.
Yeah, 15 to 25 for me have just been super hard, like the last few weeks, because I think there's, especially when there's this many games being played, You hope that when conference play starts, maybe it stabilizes a little bit, which I think we've seen a little, but not tons yet because it's still kind of in that crossover.
Yeah.
But 15 to 25, like you can make cases for and against like tons. And a lot of people are like, why are they still ranked? I said, well, who's better? Like who's get, you can build up a record playing, but if someone's playing better teams. So it's just been really hard for me, 15 through 25, to kind of like, I can make a case for and against almost any team in that little range and even some of the others receiving votes. Like I'm still on the train with Auburn I had them in mind, but obviously it's not just me that thankfully that ranks. So yeah, that's where I've been really not struggling, but just finding like there's just you could move them either way, different places. You can rationalize anything the way you want it, and that's where it's really tough.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I had North Carolina in my poll towards the bottom, for example, and we just named a couple of teams who are receiving votes, us, but possibly others on the team too, who are submitting their ballots, and that's why there's so many teams who are receiving votes. It's not just 2 or 3; there's multiple. From week to week, because you can make so many different arguments.
Yeah, that's usually the case most seasons. I think the last few has been more, which is a great sign for the sport, and then there's also factors to consider like injuries and things. But like week to week, I try to like not make it be like, hey, we're just going on pedigree. You want to make sure that there's legit. So it's that balance of like, is it a projection? Is it right where we are right now? And everyone does their poll differently in terms of that. But I think there's a good like solid group of 30, 35 teams where we know are the top 35. And then the flexibility to move those in and out is where we're kind of getting some, 15 to 25 range has kind of been like, I'm always like, I have like by Sunday morning, I'm just like, it's the poll. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like that team seemed like, and now they lose, or this team did, and now they win, so.
It's different kind of Sunday scaries. I feel the same thing.
That's good to know, because I think despite like, people thinking like we spend hours on this stuff. And even though they say like, did you even like watch the games? I'm like, I think I watched too many, and that's why,
totally.
Because, so it's almost like over analyzing at some point. So, which sometimes happens.
It's such a balance, right? Because yes, we have data, we have the eye test, we have our gut, right? All of us. And that includes fans like that. They're going by some of these things too. And it's a lot that goes into it for sure. And that's why fans also have questions every week.
Right. We love their questions though.
We do. I appreciate them. It does make you think, like we were talking about, when they make good points and ask good questions. So we'll get into those. We'll answer a few. One of them came back, which was, what does Virginia Tech need to do to consistently compete with the big dogs like Oklahoma? To me, Rhiannon, keep doing what they're doing largely.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think they've continually shown that they are able to recruit great like players that fit their style. They always have great pitching. I mean, it's kind of been an annual thing for the last almost decade now. So, I mean, competing with Oklahoma, like that's there's very few that are on like a regular basis in terms of the recruits they churn out. But Virginia Tech is right there on ones that could beat them on any given day. So I'm like, don't change, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep, doing it the style you're doing. And I have no issue with the way they're doing it. I don't think there's really anything, obviously, if you want to get like 5 or 6 other top ranked recruits in, but sometimes that doesn't, always feel the chemistry. So I think I think they're doing just what they need to be doing right now.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, to consistently compete, it's like play against them is one thing. If you're trying to compare, it's like you can't always compare apples to oranges in terms of what their game is. Of course, we'll talk about this more. Oklahoma has triple-digit home runs. They're the fastest to do it, to get there ever. Virginia Tech has 42, which is still pacing pretty solid direction there.
Yes.
But we don't need, they don't need to try to do that, right? They just need to keep doing what they do really well. And, they're the only ACC team that's in the top 2 in the conference in batting average, ERA, and fielding percentage. Yeah. So to me, that's like, okay, we're firing on all cylinders for every part of the game, which is key.
Yeah, I mean, when you say compete consistently with Oklahoma, that's a big statement. Like there's very few that are going to like at the same terms of like, you're going to win 4 straight national titles. Like,
right.
But they're already competing with them, in my opinion, in terms of having the ability to potentially beat them and fielding a team that has, enough great players in the system in place to do it, to challenge them. And that's, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. They're in the top 10 a lot, they beat each other up in the top 10. Well, the next one is what puts Texas A&M above Oregon? I thought this was a good question. Another fair point from fans.
Yeah, I honestly these are the two that I think you could make claims either side. They both have a kind of perplexing, inconsistent seasons right now. Losses that are like, how did you lose that? And then some wins that they pulled out. You could put one over the other and make a claim, and it could be fine. So I guess with A&M, you kind of give them a little bit, somewhat strength of schedule, a little bit over Oregon. They played a few tougher teams, but not. I mean, they're about comparable, but they're both where you could just, there's been some head scratching losses that have like, how does that happen? I think I just maybe some better losses, quote unquote, which is a weird thing to say sometimes and playing. Right. So you kind of have to go by that, but there's not much difference, to be honest.
Yeah, it goes back to the arguments. Like you said, I'm with you. I did actually have Oregon higher in my individual ballot. And that's coming from, again, you can make different arguments, but the Ducks, for example, they're number 19 in DSR. The Aggies are number 23. Okay, so when we're thinking about, well, I could see going either way with this, then I start to turn to what are the other things we can look at, like data, like some of those things. But then there's also having seen them both play in person and the eye test. And I do think we've seen more vulnerability in the circle from A&M, perhaps. They're 12th in the SEC in ERA and then also in fielding percentage. So that side of the ball in general is something that, is an area of improvement that they can work on. But then they're 6th in batting average, right? Their bats have kept them in a lot of the games that they have won, or even the losses that have been, like you said, quote unquote, not bad losses, not as bad. So I think when we get into conference play too, and people play each other multiple times, that's telling. The series is interesting too, because in the preseason, so many people play once. And one game tells you a little bit, but it doesn't really tell you everything. And that's why, they play in the Champ Series at the World Series. It's a 3-game series. It's the best of 3. Because can you do it more than once? It's hard to beat a team more than once, let alone 3 times. And so I think when we start to see some of that for Oregon in the Big Ten, A&M in the SEC, that'll also inform us.
Agree.
And the last one, who does Alabama need to be higher since they are undefeated still?
Well, they're going to have a lot of chances with the SEC. So, I mean, and it also to who's going to above them might lose too.
Right.
There's kind of that, I would put them up against anyone, and they're going to have a chance with Arkansas coming up right now to prove. So I think for me, they're one of it was, and I still think they're, top 5 team, no question. But like for me, the schedule was a little bit like early, they had Georgia Tech was a good win, but I'm still kind of they've answered questions for me. Now it's just they get these ranked opponents. They're going to play on a more consistent basis. So I think if they just keep winning, they'll move up a little bit more. But also some of those teams ahead of them have to lose or they have to beat some of them too, because they're having just as good of wins. So right. I'm fully sold on Alabama. It's just there's other good teams too that are playing just as well.
Yeah, that's another team that it's looking good on the different parts of the game too. It's not all heavy on one thing. Pitching looks good, hitting's there. Like those things are aligning. And I agree. I think Arkansas is going to be telling this series that's coming up because the 2 Florida State games, those ranked wins on the road were huge. Florida State's number 13 in DSR right now, for example. Those are the only ranked opponents or games against a ranked opponent that they have this year. So Alabama's number 2 in DSR right now. Arkansas is number 4, right? So, and we're talking about sort of top 5 in terms of just overall, not only their strength of schedule, but how they performed, et cetera. And Arkansas is coming off of taking the series from Georgia. So the thing is that they don't play Oklahoma. Alabama doesn't in the regular season. So we're not going to see that head-to-head matchup until potentially the postseason SEC tournament. But they are going to play Texas. They're going to go to Tennessee. So I think if they get the opportunity, like you said, Rhiannon, if they can beat people who are currently ranked above them, well, of course that makes the argument. But I still say that this is another team where it's like, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, just win, just keep performing how you are. And the other teams, what their, obviously there's the other team's performance above them will, they could move up by winning, another team loses, but then they beat them head to head. Obviously that's a given. So, so just keep doing what you're doing, keep doing it well. And you, like you said, one of the most well-rounded Alabama teams I've seen in like at least a decade. or, for sure the last 6 or 7 years. So if they can keep that up, once you get in the grind SEC play, they'll be fine.
Yeah. And in our mid-major top 25, GCU is at the top. Obviously, they're in our overall top 25 as well, but they stay at number 1, also undefeated. I just want to give them their flowers, really. They're number 24 overall in DSR. They lead the Mountain West in multiple categories, but that includes an ERA. So 1.34 ERA as a staff, but then they also lead in runs scored. So they've scored 173 runs after week 5. That is 25 more than the next team. And this is just their first year in the conference, right? So they're coming from the WAC, they're making the move to the Mountain West, and they're already picked to win the conference. The other thing about it, no Savannah Kirk. We talked about this in earlier episodes. She was the preseason Mountain West Player of the Year. She was the WAC Player of the Year in 2025. They're continuing this success without her. I think that says something about them also, and really more on the mental side than anything else.
Yeah, that program is just a solid program. I mean, it's a huge hit, but when you have a program in place with the culture like that, great recruiting that's specific to, what their needs. I mean, this has been, it's not just a one-shot deal. We've seen them be good for the last few years. So I think it just says a lot about the coaching, the program, and kind of the structure they have in place and the type of players they recruit.
Yep, 100%. Well, let's just dive more into the week 5 recap. We can't really recap this week without talking about some of the milestones, and we've already mentioned it a little bit, but of course, we'll reiterate OU reaching 100 home runs, the fastest in history for college softball at the Division I level. 25 games is all it took. They have the season record 161 from 2021. But, it just speaks to a lot of what that program has done and developed and how they've up-leveled just the game in a general sense. And we'll get more into that too in our interview today.
Yeah, for sure. The job that, obviously Patty and her son JT, the hitting coach, have done there, the types of players they recruit. I know, granted, it's, I don't care who you're hitting home runs off of. I mean, a lot of other teams are playing mid-major teams too, or, lower, and they're not hitting the amount. So no matter what, you give credit to the amount. So SEC play, we'll see if it won't be as easy, sure. But I mean, I'm not going to say they're not going to hit tons of home runs because they're good players and they hit home runs. Right. It's impressive. I don't care if you know who you're hitting them off of. I'm just in the thing that strikes me is the depth, because I think every single position player, every single person that's had an at bat has at least has 3 home runs or something. Yep. That has that's just ridiculous. That's everyone in the lineup. So I mean, it's impressive any way you slice it, and it will get a little tougher as we start to enter SEC play. But I mean, it's just, you got to appreciate it at this point. They're just really great hitters, and they've, like you said, they built a culture around it. And I mean, when you have that type of power, you're in almost every game, and yep. It's not like they just rely on the long ball. They can do other things, but I mean, if you're going to hit it over the fence, you might as well hit it over the fence. Exactly. And sometimes we take it for granted because they've made this just look like it's easy, and it's not. And so and to your point, they can do other things. It does make me happy still, for example, despite, the home runs, everybody's talking about it. Alana Agbayani still got her 200th hit on a bunt this past weekend, so they do still utilize different things in our game. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that they still, I mean, it's not feast or famine. I mean, in a sense it is, because they hit a lot of home runs, but that if they have to do other things, Patty will definitely do other things, and they do situational hitting, and they do, they'll move base runners around. So I'm just, you can't, I mean, this offense has been impressive for years now, and it just continues to be. So you can't do anything but tip your cap to them and what they've, the program they've, and it's going to be fun to see them against some of these SEC pitchers. That's going to be the fun challenge. And that's why I'm glad they're in the SEC now. And as we've seen, pitching, it's tough to be a pitcher these days in Division I softball. So I don't think it's going to completely stop them, but it may slow the amounts down. They won't have 7 per game in, some of these games, right. But they're still going to hit pretty powerful home runs. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to see 30 plus runs scored like we have more than once from them, but you never know at the same time. But yes, I think they're still OU at the end of the day.
One thing that stood out to me too, Rhiannon, is Utah. The largest margin of victory in a ranked win, that was against ASU as part of the sweep that they were able to get, 15-0 in game 2. And I think this is a team that had a rough patch around Mary Nutter. They lost to Bethune-Cookman, LMU, and Cal Baptist. But they're 21-5 to start this season. They're on an 11-game winning streak coming off of that ASU series. And I think you can't discount them. That if anything that they've taught us, especially in the last several years and when they went on their World Series run, you can't count them out. They win the Pac-12 tournament that year, and then they go to the World Series, and it's just, you can't count them out. They're just gritty.
Yeah, no, Amy Hogue does a great job there, head coach, built a great, solid program. And you're right. I was a little bit almost once that during Mary Nutter, I was like, this is going to be a rough season for the Utes. So credit to them for completely flipping it around, changing my mind. They'll get, I didn't have ASU ranked in my poll last week. I was still not completely sold. They've had some injuries with Kenzie Brown's appearances and stuff. Yeah. So if the Utes can keep it up though, man, I still want to see them play a few tougher teams, but yeah. Full credit to them. I'm very impressed. They've done, you beat those teams that badly when you get a chance to do it. It's impressive. And like I said, I was a little worried around Mary Nutter time. I'd like to find out, was there like a flu that went through the team? I don't know, but it was something that was just a bad weekend, and credit to them for shrugging it off and going right back to work and building this win streak now.
Yeah. And at that point, Amy Hogue was just on the cusp of 500 career wins. She has since then hit that and continued on. And so just also love to see that from somebody who is an alum at their alma mater, leading the way. She went to a World Series as a player, as well as taking them as a coach, of course. And that's the kind of, just lifetime commitment, really, that is really impressive to see from somebody. The pitching staff, too, I give credit to, because they collectively have a 1.81 ERA. 3 individual pitchers have an ERA under 1.5. They're only behind Texas Tech in that category. We just know how important pitching is, right? Especially down the stretch. They're getting into conference play, of course, in postseason. You said it earlier with the offense that exists in college softball now across the board. Pitching is just crucial. So I think that's something that they're going to need.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And they've always been, decent in the circle. They've had a few ups and downs like everyone, but they seem to have a very, balanced staff. They usually have 1 or 2 arms that are above, but I like the balance of the staff a little bit more, and the complementary pieces they have and kind of who they can throw. So it's definitely something you need. You need the depth now, as we've seen. You need to be able to throw different arms. But I just, like I said, I'd like to see, once they get really into the heart of Big 12 play some of the other teams, see kind of how it goes. But right now, everything's trending completely up, and the pitching number, you can't deny the pitching numbers. That's, their stats are stats. So they've been doing it. And at this many games, it's not like it's just one weekend of results. This is now building on about a month of results.
Right. And being able to win in different ways. That was something that was interesting just in the series as a whole. They win in extras. They, of course, run rule with the shutout in that record-breaking game. And it's kind of in between as well. And so you have to be able to do that. You can't only play a certain way and rely on certain things and expect to win, especially in a 3-game set. And so the fact that they were able to come away with it in different ways is also encouraging, in my view.
Very true. I completely agree. That's pretty much the standard across the board now. If you want to have a great softball team, great softball culture, you need to be able to win in different ways, because as we've seen, things are evolve. There's more power in the game, and you can't get worried if you get down early either. You got to just keep, taking your hacks and stuff, because it's just, it's never, more than any time I can remember covering softball these last 2 years, there's really no deficit that some teams probably can't come back from. If a team was down 4-0 in the first inning before, I'd be like, oh, this is done. But totally. This is no big deal. We'll just, it'll end up be 18-14 or something at the end. So, you need to be able to do it in every way and be able to switch and the mid-game adjustments now in softball are huge, which before it was the ace isn't okay. Well, then we're just going down with the ship. Now there's so many adjustments you can make and things that you can do to flip the momentum. So it's been very kind of fun, but at the same time, kind of wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like the words we use, sometimes gritty, sometimes scrappy, with those things. And I remember when I interviewed Amy Hogue on the Believe in Softball podcast, I had said to her, Utah's really scrappy program. Like that seems to be part of it. She's like, that used to sort of offend me because I felt like we were more than scrappy, right? Like that's doesn't quite do justice to what we're doing here. She's like, you know what? But if being scrappy means that we don't take a pitch off and we compete from start to finish and we make it really difficult on our opponent, she's like, then I'll take that. And I think we see that.
Yeah, I think scrappy is a great thing. I think if you get the most out of your talent, you get it, you fight till the end. You're never going to, gritty, scrappy. I mean, sometimes it is like a backhanded compliment for some people, but I'm like, hey, I would rather have a blue collar scrappy team I'll take that any day. So I like the culture she has there and the players she gets. She does the most with the players she gets. And, not everyone wants to go to Utah, but I don't know why, because it's beautiful. I lived in Utah for that place, man. Salt Lake City is an awesome city. So I getting recruits there should be easier, but she gets the right ones.
Yeah. I got to play there in May. I remember senior year for the first time, and gorgeous. Like the mountains in the background. It helps that, that wasn't covered in snow at the time.
Yeah, but when it is, it's still beautiful. Like, it's beautiful, the background with the snow in the back. So
yes.
It's so again, I love what she's done, built that program. And I, like I said, don't take offense to being called gritty, Amy, because that's a good thing for the D1 softball. Gritty is good. So
gritty is good. Scrappy is where you want to be, how you have to be. Yeah. And there's a reason why Hannah Flippen and Anissa Ortez, two Olympians, Olympic alternate Olympian, are so vocal about how proud they are about having gone there.
I love it. Yeah. I really love I love that they're so loyal.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely, but I'm going to ask you about the SEC because I know you covered it. Obviously you're in SEC country anyway. You can tell by your background, which by the way, I think that's Pat Summit, right? That's awesome.
Sarah Vanderveer right next to her. So it's so see, I'm across the country. I just revere all great women's sports leaders. So, and I have other women's sports things on other walls. So yeah, don't worry. I got Stanford in here too. And that's not just because you're here. Like this has been here for years.
See, it's not like you just planted it. I love that.
Two of the icons. So.
Although I would have respected if you planted it too, because that's just smart.
I didn't though, but I could.
I know, but I love that.
I'll bring out my bobblehead of her next time in the car when she's celebrating. So I have that one too.
I do have a bobblehead of her too. I love that. We share that.
Next time.
But again, you covered some of these SEC series. Obviously, you live and get to see in person Tennessee quite a bit. That LSU Tennessee series, I would love your takeaways, especially after Carlin Pickens was pulled in the midweek game against Belmont. She has the arm strain. She's day to day, and they still did that.
Yeah, that was the very impressive thing. Obviously, when you have a setback like that, and one of your best player by far goes down, it could take an emotional hit, like a mental hit. But as we've seen, they've touted their pitching depth all year. And I think the players really don't necessarily just say that. They believe in it. They see those other pitchers all year. And the offense took it as, hey, I mean, they kind of came off a weekend where their offense wasn't that great. They were and I think that was a challenge. Like, hey, we're going to have to, hit some balls to get these wins. Let's protect these pitchers. Let's make sure when Carlin gets back, we're still rolling. So it was very impressive. I mean, I was talking earlier, they were down 4-0 without an out, even had been recorded the entire game and came back and won. So their offense really came through. They got some great pitching performances. Other time they got some gritty pitching performances by Maddie Rutan. So to be able to sweep LSU when you take that hit midweek with Carlin Pickens out, that has to give them a lot of confidence and just realize that, hey, what we've been saying all year is true. Let's get her healthy. Let's get her back. But in the meantime, let's not slow this thing down. Now they get to go on the road and try to see if that sticks on the road. That's a harder challenge. But I think if you told Karen Weekly you'd win like maybe 2 or 3, without Carlin Pickens, and after all the work they've done to this point, she would take that. She wants to win every single game. But sweeping LSU is a great, just a confidence boost for that team with that situation they were in. And they say day to day. I don't know. If I was them, I'd rest her as long as possible. I'd make sure she's completely healthy because they're going to need her more on the back end. I would rush her back, but I know she's competitive and wants to come back. So I'm interested to see how they work with that and when she is fully healthy.
I loved some of her posts where she posted like proof of life, and it's her like just getting some work done on her arm, reassuring the fans, but still super present. I think her as a teammate might be a little bit underrated too.
Oh,
We're getting to see that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, she came right back that midweek game, and she was out there stretching with them and smile on her face and clapping. So like that just right away, that's even if she's hurting, I bet that was part of just being a good captain and like, hey guys, I'm still here. I'm still present. We're doing this. Like it was very impressive because she could have just like stayed at the doctor's office or gone right home or been in the training room, but she was out stretching on the field, giving them all high fives and then being around the whole weekend. So she definitely is a great teammate from me observing it. And then from everyone saying it after 4 years, I can pretty much vouch for that.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right. Mississippi State going to be interesting. That's one of the series I have circled for sure. This coming weekend with Tennessee. You also covered and did some write-ups for us on Georgia, Arkansas. So what were your thoughts on that series?
Pretty much went like in terms of the I thought it would be a battle, and it was. I mean, Arkansas wins they take the rubber match. They lost the first game and bounced back that first game on Friday night. Uncharacteristic from Robin Herron. I mean, kind of got, just as Courtney Deifel said, the head coach, like she didn't get shelled, but there was a few hard hits that kind of, drove up her run count and got her out. But man, did she bounce back on Sunday when they needed her. She was the true ace, 10 Ks, a complete game shutout. And man, Riho at shortstop, that defense, that was sick. And Ella McDonald hitting some bombs out. So the series went pretty much as expected. Georgia's still kind of, I think, getting healthy in the circle. I don't think they're at full strength. So I think that's something to build on from them. They competed even though they're not at full strength. But it was the dogfight I expected, pardon the pun, with the Bulldogs. But Arkansas just that final game just took control and didn't let it go. And I think Robin was pretty determined to make sure that she was, the team leader, the team ace, and took it on her back. But it was impressive. It was fun to watch all three games, and all three very, very compelling games.
I love the puns, Rhiannon. Keep them coming. Anyone who's listened to any broadcast of mine, well, you know this. You know this too. They know.
I grew up in a dad joke household, so like dad jokes are just like, it's kind of in my DNA, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we may also touch on both of these series a bit more later, so stay tuned for that. But one thing also that stood out to me in the ACC, I feel like Virginia and North Carolina was maybe a little bit underrated as a series, just nationally in the conversation, because it was pretty crazy. I mean, UVA took the series 2-1, but North Carolina got their first ranked win in 4 years with that one win that they took, 2 extra inning games in one day. And I mean, where do we even start with Emily Leggett? Let's be honest.
Man, that thing was like back and forth. I would like every balls were going out. It was like this game is crazy. I mean, the scores. I mean, people got their entertainment value. If you bought a ticket, especially that Saturday, if you bought a ticket to the park, you definitely got your money's worth because you were there for a long time and you saw a lot of offense. It was a great series, really compelling. I'm sure, if you ask some of the pitchers, maybe they weren't quite as stoked about it because it did kind of like, but Emily Leggett, I mean, career year, she just keeps doing it. I mean, 4 home runs in one day, 3 in one game, crazy amount of RBIs. So it was really fun. It was, as you said, I kind of had that as a sneaky good one to keep an eye on, and I'm glad I did. It's hard to watch like 5 games, and I was at the field on Saturday for part of the time, so I didn't get to see all of it. But I did go back and watch both extra inning games a little bit, and it was fun. I mean, it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I think both those teams are really like just as we talked about earlier, they have anything to get the win they can do. I think Virginia's pitching, I think they're probably a little bit like, hey, but Carolina's offense needed to face a good pitching staff, and they showed they can do that. That's kind of their first big test against the pitching staff. So I was impressed that their strength of schedule wasn't as great going in, but I think they really showed something to people that they can put up some runs against a quality team. And so it was fun. It was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think UNC, they lead the ACC hitting 390 as a group, right? That's as a team. That's pretty impressive. 55 home runs. They've already hit how many they had a season ago in 2025. 213 runs. All of those things lead the ACC. And they're the only team in the ACC to have over 200 RBIs. And, obviously Emily Leggett is leading the way on that. You said it in that day with those 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. She had 15 total last year. So the improvement from year to year is wild. And that's kind of what it's about, in my opinion, to be able to see players develop like that and maybe land in the spot that is the right fit for them, also in her case as a transfer.
Yeah, and it's been amazing. I mean, since that new coaching staff has got there with Megan Lyons-Smith just coming in, like the transformation of that offense, and they've really, that's something you can tell has been a huge emphasis and hugely paid off. I mean, that's just the numbers they're putting up these days with that offense since they've been there are crazy, and it's been very impressive. But yeah, I think they're gonna make almost every ACC opponent kind of make sure that you're not overlooking them. Not that anyone was. I think that's always been a solid program, but they did have a few down years here, and I think they're kind of on the rise. And the ACC, man, it is wide open in a lot of ways. So I know Virginia Tech is probably and Florida State, but Florida, I mean, the offensive numbers in that conference are going to be wild because Florida State's pitching has not been – they're having to out-hit people. So some of those games are going to be wild scores in the ACC, and it's going to be fun to watch. And I think you got to put North Carolina in there to pull off some surprises and perhaps, win some series that maybe people didn't think they would, have a chance to win early on.
Yeah.
I think they do have a chance.
Yeah. Well, let me get into some stats here.
Oh, there you go.
Love it. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, she's hitting almost 600, which is insane. Because you see that maybe like the first couple weekends because the sample size is smaller with at bats, but we're week 5's in the books and she's still there. That 3 home run game, that was also the largest comeback of the season for North Carolina. And her and Sanaa Thompson are both hitting over 500, by the way. So talking about other hitters as well on the team. And Leggett herself, though, 22 games in, she's only 4 RBIs away from breaking into the top 10 in program history for a single season at North Carolina. So just giving her flowers there. She leads the ACC in home runs and RBIs. I will say part of the reason this was such a great series, the number 2 in both of those categories is from Virginia, Bella Cabral and Macy Eaton, respectively. Yes. And then gonna give credit to Courtney Lane too, who leads the ACC in ERA at 1.25 right now. So that's part of the reason I think we saw what we saw.
Yeah, and Bella is another one that I think is under the radar. That girl can hit, and she's been consistent for Virginia since she's been there, and that's a one that I don't think gets talked about quite as enough because there's so many we can talk about, and it's hard to mention anyone. But she deserves her flowers too. She's really like the key cog and kind of the linchpin of that offense, and it's been very impressive to see what she's done.
Yeah, 100%. And, some of what we've talked about too, and these examples are people being able to do it on the road. So we talked about Utah with the sweep of ASU. In the Big 12, UCF taking the series from Oklahoma State in Stillwater. That is not easy. That's not easy. And I think UCF is a team that's been building up. They had their best showing at Clearwater at that tournament ever. They had 3 wins, including beating LSU. And Vega was the Big 12 pitcher of the week that week. And their 9-3 start that they had was the best they've had since 2021. So I think this has been building, but it's just like coming to fruition a little bit right now too, for UCF.
Yeah, as you said, Isabella Vega in the circle, she was great in that series. I mean, came in and closed it out, started the Friday and was masterful there, kept those bats in check, went head-to-head with, Ruby Malin, who's the ace for Oklahoma State. She was, toe-to-toe with her the whole time, but not surprising. I mean, UCF for the last 4 or 5 years has been on my, top 25 team for me, right away. I mean, what Cindy Ball Malone's done there, just consistently gets great players, especially in the circle. She's a great pitching coach. I mean, she's a head coach, but she's a phenomenal pitching coach. So, I mean, it's a great win on the road, and that's key for you got to win. If you can sneak a few road series, especially ranked opponents, that's obviously huge. But I'm not shocked because UCF is good, and they've been good, and they've shown that consistently across the years. They always beat ranked opponents. That's kind of their MO, even when going back 5 or 6 years. So great win, and I don't expect them to slow down. I think they're very well-rounded team. And when you have someone like, Vega in the circle that can, kind of anchor that staff, I think they're going to be, I did not think they were going to be a contender. So I think it's going to be a fight for that Big 12 title, and they're right there.
Yeah. And, Cindy Ball Malone, Cindy just having that experience herself as a pitcher. I love how she talks about it. She's like, yes, the way we think about it here at UCF is the pitcher's the queen, and then the Knights are all around supporting her. And I'm like, I see what you did there with the Golden Knights. I like it. But not a surprise, right, to see, her impact in the bullpen specifically too with folks like Isabella Vega.
Nope, not at all. If you know Bear, which is her nickname, Bear. Yeah. Back to her, man, those Pacific days, UOP days when she was pitching.
Oh yeah.
She was a bear. So she was hard to handle. So it's not surprising. I said, like, that's a great program. They're a legit softball program that should, it should be on the radar every single year.
Yeah. Yeah. Hall of Famer, Cindy Ball Malone. Got to keep an eye on it. One thing in the Big 12 too, it's so easy to talk about Texas Tech, of course, and we talk a lot about the transfers this year, as we should. I do want to say, though, I don't think we should sleep on Maya Davis. She did come from Louisiana, of course, but
there's basically mostly all transfers. So, but she's she was a Jerry Glasgow, she's been
Correct.
with him the whole way.
Yes. She's one of the people that got them to the Women's College World Series last year. And she leads the nation in hits and stolen bases through week 5 this year. And I loved it because this was so Jerry Glasgow, where he talked about, he read on the internet somewhere that people thought Maya might have lost a step or something with her speed or wasn't quite where she was before. And he's like, so I want to have her run, just have her run, let her run, do her thing. And now she's leading the country in stolen bases with 25. But that's just the positive pettiness that is, I think, hilarious and funny to see from Jerry.
The funny thing I always think of is someone in the media who's thinking, your own fans could do that like on a burner just so because they know it'll tick you off. And so that motivates you. And I look at this bulletin board stuff, which was put, so I just always wonder, like, okay, how credible are the people that are saying this?
Sure.
Like, they could actually be your own, or they could actually be your coach. I've actually heard of coaches having assistant coaches do a burner and post something and then show it to the team thinking it's an opposing fan, when really it was the own coaching staff. So let's just be clear there. We really need standards here in terms of whatever gets you going, Jerry. And many things do, but yes, Maya, she is amazing athlete. She has been since day one as a freshman. What she's doing is not like a huge shock, but it's fun to see. And she's a fun one. I mean, she's just fun to watch. I love those dynamic players that are just like she has every tool in the tool belt.
Yes.
And she's great defensively. I mean, phenomenal defensively too. And no, she has not slowed down at all. And her slowest is something that I could never even imagine to reach with speed. So keep saying that if you want, whoever it is, because she's going to make you look stupid.
Yeah. Already doing that, really. And yeah, I think that's what it is too. And part of why I think we're seeing the growth in college softball in general is players are fun to watch. Like, they are fun to watch. I mean, I think of, for example, at UCLA, how can you not think of Jordan Woolery and Megan Grant, for example? I mean, Woolery is insane. She's leading the country in RBIs already, has 50. It's like we're not even halfway through March. It's absolutely insane. Megan Grant's been kind of flirting with the top of the home run list in the country with Kendall Wells, who we'll talk to today. And she's got 18. Jordan has 14. They already have 32 together. They wanted to hit 50 last year. They hit 49. I think they're going to do it.
Yeah. I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of the reason they're fun too is they're dynamic. They really are best friends. That helps, but they hit back to back in the lineup typically. And I've noticed that they always tap their bats before, like Megan will head to the plate. She typically hits first. They'll tap their bats together. It's like they have to do it almost before they can move forward. And then Jordan's always like, me and you, Megan, me and you. And so the fact that they just pour into each other, you could easily be a little bit competitive, right? And then that can spiral if you wanted it to, but they own it together as a dynamic duo.
Yeah, they have great personalities. They show it on the field. I think that's what makes, softball is, there's so much things you can show now, and like slow-mo and everything to show just how ridiculously athletic and crazy these, things that these athletes are doing, which helps. But then it also helps obviously with force of personality and getting people love to root for people who are having fun and are showing the joy and really, take the game seriously. But also with softball, there's, the celebrations and things. So I think we have more of those athletes right now, and it's fun to get to know them, and people kind of take. And the great thing softball has and a lot of women's sports has, is that I know we have transfers, but a lot of these, at least they stay 4 years and people get to know them and get to know their personalities. And so when you're doing dynamic stuff like that, and they feel like a little bit of attachment to them, the speed of the game is better than it's ever been. So it's just a fun game to watch all around. And when you have great personalities and great people that are doing great things, it's a perfect match.
100%. And also congrats to Megan Grant and UCLA women's basketball on the Big Ten championship.
Right. Yeah. They demolished the Hawkeyes. So we'll see if they get the number 1 overall seed. that UConn UCLA debate is really heating up. Like,
Yeah.
I, for one, don't care. Who cares if you'll get a 1? Although I know there's an extra day of rest, but just win your games. But it's that UCLA, that's the best team that's ever that I've ever witnessed in UCLA women's basketball history. So I hope that they got a good chance. So, and Megan, she may, they may need her off the bench in that, Final Four. So maybe Kelly let her go, We'll see if it comes to that. So I doubt that she will, but maybe, maybe.
I mean, she'll be going for a softball Big Ten championship in the span of a couple months. Imagine doing March Madness and then Mayhem.
I would love her to be on the bench for at least a few games. Like, I know home's probably easier, but like in the Final Four, like just get her there. Like after, and maybe, I mean, if she has to wear a softball uniform for and then fly out, that would be amazing content. So, but that's amazing. I love the crossover athletes. I love to see it. And I'm so glad that, Kelly and Corey Close are both so like, we can make this work, because that's good for women's sports.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, we talk about how that's good for you growing up, good for your body to play different sports. If you get too specialized too soon, that's when we see injuries. That's when we see burnout, all of these things. But to see her get to kind of have like that childhood dream and live it out is really, it's refreshing. It's refreshing.
Yeah. Don't get me started on specialization, Jenna. That is where I go crazy. We could do a whole 5-hour podcast on my rants about specialization and how evil it is, but that'll be for another time. So play multiple sports is all I'll say. And if anyone tells you no, run the other way. Yeah,
that's completely fair to say. Completely fair to say. One other team that I wanted to kind of give a shout out to in the mid-major ranks, Western Kentucky. They are number 17 in our mid-major top 25 poll, as we saw earlier, but best start in program history, 18-3. They swept Missouri State to open up Conference USA play. They're number 2 out of the mid-majors in DSR. And it's interesting because they're picked 4th in their conference in the preseason poll, but they did get 1 place vote. You don't see 4th place teams in those polls typically getting a 1st place vote, but that's, I think, speaks to, the faith that people may have in what they're able to accomplish. And they play at number 25 in our mid-major poll, Jack State, this weekend. So I think that's one to watch as well.
Yeah, Hilltoppers are quality this year. It's fun to see them. I love, and their merch with their mascot is awesome. So if you can ever get WKU merch, highly recommend it. Big Red is the man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what? So some of the upsets too. We mentioned that Nevada upset Oregon earlier. I think worth calling out that the Wolfpack increased their strength of schedule this year. They missed postseason last year as a wild card. Head coach Victoria Hayward was vocal about how she thinks there should be more than one potentially coming out of a strong mid-major conference like the Mountain West into the NCAA tournament. They're number 12 in DSR in the mid-majors. Texas State takes one from Texas A&M. Really a team win. And this is a team that had already beat Clemson and Northwestern, and they're number 6 in DSR among mid-majors. And then JMU upsetting Penn State too. And, I remember talking with head coach Lauren Laporte in Clearwater about, their Texas Tech loss. And she was like, this might be the first time in my career that I think this loss made us better. It was so tight in those first 5 innings. And that makes you better for moments like this, right? To be able to show up in those big matchups. So shout outs to those mid-majors as well.
For sure. Yeah, great.
Well, what other matchups are you looking forward to coming up, Rhiannon?
What am I not looking forward to, Jenna, is the question. All of them. I love them all. No, I think we mentioned the Arkansas-Bama one, which is what I have, and then the Mississippi, in terms of SEC.
Yeah.
And then Mississippi State, Tennessee is going to be a fun one just because we're going to see in terms of, will Pickens, will her absence play a role this year? Will Mississippi State, to me, still one that I'm kind of, who have they played? I still want a little bit more. So that's going to be to me to see, that's going to be the interesting thing. And I kind of want to see, they've been tested in some extent, but not as much as I would love to see. So I think the Tennessee thing will be a really good one.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech and Duke has a little appeasing to me too for the ACC. I mean, I think it's a sneaky good series. Duke is, kind of been a little bit more up and down in Virginia Tech, but I think Duke, Marissa Young always has that team ready to play, especially in big games. So that one is kind of one that I have my eye on as well. Those are the big ones. How about you? You got any on your radar?
Well, I agree with all of those. I think in the SEC, A&M and LSU is interesting too, because they've both had some bumps, right? And some, you said earlier, I think head scratching and referring to A&M in terms of some of their losses. I think that applies to both. So curious, it could be a bounce back depending on who shows up and executes for one of them. They might be able to do that. So that's interesting to me. I would say agree with Virginia Tech and Duke. I think Georgia Tech and Virginia may be an interesting one in the ACC too, maybe a little bit underrated. Tech's a pretty good team. And that is a scrappy team in Georgia Tech. And so I'm curious to see that matchup. Penn State, Oregon, and Michigan, Nebraska. I'm going to be keeping an eye on in the Big Ten slate. Michigan, the reigning Big Ten tournament champions, going up against Nebraska. And I think it could be interesting. I'm always want to watch Jordy and the crew. So that's easy.
Yeah, those are the ones that I pretty much, and we mentioned a few of the mid-major showdowns we were looking forward to. Those are the ones that I'll probably keep an eye on really, really heavily this weekend. But yeah, I think we hit them all in terms of the interest. It's fun because every weekend there's going to be some, and there's a lot of great mid-major matchups that, across the country, and that makes it fun too. I know ULM's at Texas State this weekend.
Yes,
that's a fun one. So I'm excited to see that and how that goes. And you mentioned WKU at Jacksonville State, which is should be a good one.
Yes, I would say App State at Coastal Carolina too. Both of them are in our mid-major top 25. Agree with those. Boise State, Nevada could be interesting too. Boise State took a game from Stanford, for example, earlier, and Nevada we talked about just took a game from Oregon. And then Charlotte, South Florida. These are our ranked mid-major matchups, coming up. I agree. We can't forget to say in the Big 12 too, Arizona, Texas Tech. That's going to be a big one. And then Oklahoma State, Arizona State. It's like, how do each of these teams bounce back from last weekend? But Arizona Tech is that's circled for sure.
Yeah, they just trounced last weekend. So it's it's two opposite ones. One series where their teams are coming off like pretty brutal losses in different fashions, and then another one where they're just coming in with like completely like, hey, we just trained like railroaded everyone we played last weekend. So yeah, that one I completely thank you for reminding me. Texas Tech, Arizona, that one is a huge one that I think that's a really good barometer for Arizona in particular. So I think that's going to be fun to see. Like I said, they've had some great wins, but I think that's where I'm like, okay, this is where we see exactly like maybe where they are in the pecking order. So I'm excited to see that one.
Yeah, Arizona can swing it as always. But, how do you do against a Nigel Kennedy and a Caitlin Terry? Although familiarity there from the old Pac-12 days with the staffs. So
rest in peace, Pac-12.
Yeah.
I know it's still in existence. Don't come after me, but it's not the same. Okay.
It's different. And it's different for softball specifically right now. We'll see how it goes moving forward when it's more officially back. But yeah. Well, this is a time to plug the Daily Dozens that you and the writing staff also contribute to every week. I mean, I look at it constantly, trying to keep up with everything. And that's something I would recommend fans to keep up with. And then after the weekend's over too, it's what we learned is another thing to look at to kind of give you a sense of what's going on.
Yeah, those are huge. Honestly, it is, like you said, dizzying to try to fill those all as well. Sometimes we have enough for like 20 spots. I'm always going in and like, dang, okay, like there's way too much I want to write in here, but it is, it keeps me too. Like I'll put some in and then I'll go back and like, oh wow, like someone put that, like that's interesting. If you are a fan and you don't have time to be like watching every game that weekend, it is the go-to to find out like what should I know from yesterday or what should I know, that just happened earlier today. So I definitely, obviously I'm a little biased, but I recommend it. And it's helped me too. When I'm like, okay, I put in I put in 7, now I got to go to the field. I come back, like what else happened? So it's very valuable and I highly recommend reading all of them.
Exactly. And someone who's been in them and will probably be in some more is our guest today too. So why don't we go ahead and welcome in Kendall. We are thrilled to welcome in our guest today, Kendall Wells, freshman at Oklahoma and one of the breakout stars in college softball this year. Thank you for joining us, Kendall, and hello and welcome.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Everybody's talking about the OU offense, so I'm going to just dive right into it. The fastest team to get to 100 home runs in a season, And you have 19 of those at this point in the season. You're leading the nation. And it's not just that, though. It's how far you hit them. One of them measured to over 300 feet this past weekend, but you've also hit multiple beyond 250 plus feet. What do you attribute your power to?
I think I attribute my power a lot to just Coach JT and what he's done with me since I've been here this preseason and this fall. I've really learned a lot from him, more so on like how to use my body efficiently. Like I had the swing and the power coming in, but I wasn't always maximizing all that my body could do. So just really learning how to do that. And then also I think one of the big things about our team in general is just our strength and conditioning program. Our coach does a really good job of getting us stronger, working hard. We're still sprinting, lifting heavy right now so that we peak at the right time. He knows a lot about just overall strength and conditioning. So he really has us on a good program that is maximizing our potential, I think.
Kendall, with everyone, it seems like hitting so many home runs per game. Is there any like fun competitions? Or are you guys keeping track, or is there a scoreboard, in the locker room?
There's not fun competitions, but we'll joke about like what the next celebration we're gonna do coming into home is, or if you hit this home run for me, or little stuff like that. But it's honestly not something we're super focused on. Just going up to the plate, hitting strikes hard. That's what I like to say. What a lot of us say: just hit strikes hard and do our job for our team.
And it's so mental hitting. Obviously, you talked about some of the physical things that you have to be competitive, but in addition to that, you mentioned JT Gasso, of course. What is it like working with him, especially on the mental side, where you're learning really how to maximize your potential?
Right. Our mentality is something that we talk about a lot. Just going up to the plate, kind of not a confidence or a confidence, but not like an arrogance. Just knowing that you can get the job done. You have the training, you have the preparation to go up there and get the job done. And then kind of what I've been digging a little deeper in with him is just like working different counts, working different approaches, what I might see at the plate, how to adjust that, and then just being able to like reset myself at my at bat in between pitches, stuff like that is what we work on a lot.
Kendall, you're one of a few freshman catchers that has really, right away made an impact across the nation this year. How has it been balancing that, being a great hitter and a catcher as a freshman, especially with that load that puts on you? How do you balance that, and kind of how has that transition been to college?
I think we did a lot of work in the fall that definitely prepared me for this season. I was pushed every day in the fall to be my best. And I also had a lot of great knowledge and wisdom and role models on my team. So Bella Emmerling, KD, Abby, Cassidy, Ella, those are just some of the older girls that like helped us freshmen a lot get adjusted. So they've been there beside me, Bella specifically with catching, just getting everything I need to know and just helping me the best they can.
Being a part of the bullpen is definitely very special. It's sort of that team within the team in a lot of ways. And this is a program whose bullpen, especially in the last several years, has been built by Jen Rocha. Mm-hmm. But when she stepped aside for her health to prioritize it, and then you see someone like Carly Keeney, an alum, drop everything to join the staff, what did that tell you about the Sooner family that you joined?
I think it was kind of just what I already knew. Like one of the reasons I came here was because the culture was so tight and it was truly like a family. So when I saw that, I wasn't one bit surprised. Like, Carly's great. We all love her. She stepped right in, dropped everything to come here and be with us. And she says it all the time. I just want to be the best I can for you guys. And so, we respect her, and we've been working with her to try to get our pitchers where they need to be. But just knowing that she set everything down to come and be here with us and get us to be the best we can is super cool.
Now, Kendall, you're going to be playing SEC for the first time coming up here soon. How are you preparing for that? What have you heard? Kind of, are teammates helping you at all to the grind that comes with that conference?
Yeah, the SEC definitely is a tough conference. I think, our coaches do a great job of preparing us. We've played some competition at Mary Nutter in our first weekend at Arizona. So we've been prepared and just going off, film and all the scouting that we can just to be ready for when we play them.
It's going to be fun to see you experience it for the first time. And, to have a leader like Patty, I'm sure helps when you're going through some of those things, right? Some of those firsts that happen in your freshman year. And, she, having compared you to some of the legends and some of the home run hitters that she's had, like Jocelyn Allo, Lauren Chamberlain, and she said, this is something new. This is different. It's some of the most elite power I've seen from a young player. When you hear that kind of thing from Natty Patty, as they call her, how does that resonate with you?
I honestly don't try to think too much about it. Sure, it feels nice and stuff like that, but just keeping my head down, still working hard to get better, because now we start, like you said, SEC, and it's not going to be the same as we've played, in preseason. So it's going to be harder. It's going to be tougher. So just continuing to work hard and letting my work show on the field.
Now, Kendall, I believe your oldest sister is a diver at Georgia Southern. Am I correct with that? You come from a family of athletes. Can you describe growing up in that household with, I believe it's all girls that are siblings, and how that, maybe what each one does and how that helped you?
Yes, ma'am. So my older sister, she actually just yesterday finished her collegiate diving career. She finished in the finals at zones. She was a diver for college and her junior and senior year of high school, but before that she was a gymnast. And then I have two little sisters. One of them plays softball, and then both of them are barrel racers. Wow. So we do all kinds of different things in our house. But yeah, it definitely shaped me into the athlete and person I am. Everything growing up was a competition, whether it was a board game or who made it in the house first from the car, just stuff like that. But it definitely shaped me, and my parents always raised us and pushed us to be the best we could in athletics, but also really in academics. Academics were a very high priority in my house. And so I think just being raised like that has helped me, honestly, since I've been at college, just always putting my best foot forward in whether that's athletics or my academics.
Barrel racing. Did you do any yourself?
No.
Okay.
Last time I rode the horse, I got bucked off. So I don't ride.
I'm sure Patty's great. Like, just stay off the horse.
Yeah.
Graduate.
Yeah. But you were a multi-sport athlete. You played basketball in high school. You were all state too. That's not just casually playing, right? Like, you were very committed as well. How do you feel like that shaped you as an athlete and maybe made you a better softball player?
Yes, basketball is one of my favorite things ever. I tell people all the time, if I was a little bit better, I wish I could have played it in college, softball and basketball, but I wasn't that good. But no, basketball was really fun for me. A lot of my closest friends in high school played it. So it was really just a good break for me to get away from softball. I think, that's something that's important, is taking a step away every once in a while. That was really important part, was just taking a step away, and then also just doing stuff that I wouldn't do on the softball field, like jumping, running, sprinting. One of the best things for me about basketball was my conditioning. I was in the best shape I've ever been in after basketball season coming in. I remember my senior year after basketball season going into that spring and summer, I was in the best shape ever. I was conditioned. I was, my body felt really good. So I think just doing that and doing different things with my body that I wouldn't do in softball really helped me to keep my body recovered and healthy.
So did you choose softball because you were the best at it?
No. I love softball, but I did love basketball.
Hey, Jack, come on. I loved all the sports I played too. It's like picking a child. You can't.
Yeah, I know.
Totally.
Last one for me, Kendall. How has it been? You've gotten a chance to play at home, Loves Field. Like, how has it been to be welcomed by that OU fan base? We know they're very, loyal fans. How has that experience been? Just kind of getting your first taste of that.
Yeah, it's been super awesome. I kind of heard a little bit about it before I got out here. Like, those fans, they're pretty crazy, or they're pretty loyal or stuff like that. So just seeing that, they're supportive in literally everything we do. They want the best for us. There's so much support from so many different areas. So just being supported by that many people and knowing that they truly care about the program and giving into the program and investing in it is really important.
Yeah, I have a couple more too, kind of around that, knowing all of that going into it and then being able to experience it now. When you first put on the uniform for an actual game, to get ready for this season, you're wearing crimson and white to start. What were the emotions like?
Yeah, so that was super cool. Obviously in the fall, we don't wear our uniforms. So my first time wearing it was this spring against Arizona State. And I remember we had talked about it, and some of the older girls were like, oh my gosh, I forgot you guys haven't even worn the uniform yet. And we were like, yeah. So me and the other freshmen, we were super excited, but it meant a lot. I definitely took a moment to just take it in, kind of all my dreams coming true and what I've worked for coming true. So that was super cool. But, then we were locked right back in, ready to play the game.
Of course. But it's nice to take a moment sometimes. We don't always do that. So I'm glad that you did.
For sure.
And your jersey number in particular it has a special place in my heart. I was number 1 as well.
Really cool.
What is there meaning behind it, why you chose that?
So actually, I was number 00 growing up forever. I was in softball, travel ball, high school ball, basketball. I was 00 in everything. And Alyssa Parker was the same way. She was it for basketball, softball, travel ball, everything. And we played rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And I lost.
Oh.
So I didn't get the number. I mean, there was literally no other way to decide it. We committed the same weekend. We were out here at the same time. So we played rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I lost. And then I just thought number 1 was cool. There have been a lot of great athletes that have played at Oklahoma that wore that number. So just honoring that and taking that with me. Yeah.
That's a very fair way to do it, though. You guys, I mean,
fair way to do it.
Like NBA, they pay, that's just, but it's right. Rock, paper, scissors.
I mean, it was an intense game of rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay, Jenna, you inspired me. Like, what is your walk-up song and why did you choose that?
My walk-up song is All of the Lights by Kanye West. I just think it's a super cool song, kind of gets me pumped up, ready to play. So yeah.
I want to say that was on my playlist when I would train for conditioning back in college. So I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down with that. And kind of getting to sort of taking in the moment again, too. For home runs in particular, I mean, when you're coming around third, my memories are, and I didn't do it nearly as many times as you are going to do it, to be fair, but my memories are, seeing your teammates and, of course, like the high five with the coach. So when you experience that, maybe a high five, Patty, you see your teammates waiting for you at home. What is that like?
It feels so good. That's like my favorite part. I love running around the bases, giving coach a high five, get a little grin out of her every once in a while. A head nod to let you know, hey, you did it. But then flying into home with my teammates is so special. We all have our own little things and they're all like little meaningful celebrations that kind of only we get, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a way to show that, we're supporting each other, we're cheering each other on, but they're also my closest friends and, the people I want to celebrate with.
I don't think I've ever, I don't think I hit it out of the park. I'm trying to remember back in my day, I was more, but particularly that one this weekend where you cleared the exterior fencing. Did you had you hit it that far before? Did you go back and watch it? I mean, what was that feeling with that particular home run? Because that thing I think it's still leaving I think it's still going right now.
Yeah, that one definitely felt really good off the bat. I don't know if it's the furthest one I've hit. I feel like I might have hit one in practice a couple weeks ago that might have gone a little bit further. But, it just felt super good. And then, like I said, coming around the bases, flying home with my teammates was super cool. Going in the dugout, talking to everyone was fun. And I only watched it twice, I think, because I was like, oh, wow. And then I was like, yeah, done. On to the next.
Good mindset.
That's not surprising, though. I feel like we're all, jaw dropped watching things like that happen in a game. But for you, you're like, well, we work at this every day at practice. I've done this before, but it's still very cool to execute it in the moment.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. But also, I think, the expectation at Oklahoma is something that people talk about a lot. Everybody knows about the 4-peat. Everybody knows just about the elite level that's there. There's a reason that Patty's the new USA softball coach as well for the national team. You're coming into that. And when you talk to older teammates and things, it seems like managing expectations, they're very good at it, because how else do you 4-peat unless you manage expectations from year to year, right? So it's a new season, but how do they kind of teach you how to manage and think about those things?
Yeah, I definitely think the standard that's set here is different than any other program, just the way it's been. So the way coaches carried it throughout the years. So talking to the older girls has really helped me and the other freshmen. All of them, I'm super close with Abby Dayton. So just, getting knowledge and wisdom from her has been helpful for me, but they know the standard. They've been here. They know what coach expects. They know what all the coaches expect. So just bouncing ideas off them, and also kind of, them getting us in check, before we get, that word from coach or that word from one of the other coaches. They're kind of getting us in check, letting us know like, hey, we don't, or like, hey, we do this here, or we don't do that, and stuff like that has definitely helped us. Just being around the older girls and them taking us under their wing has been super helpful.
The last one that I have for you is just around what your pregame routine is. Playlist, what do you eat? Everyone wants to know what you're eating for breakfast these days, of course.
I would say on most game days, I go and I get Chick-fil-A for breakfast, chicken mini meal. And then I come to the field. I like to get to the field early, relatively early. I don't like to be rushed whatsoever. So I'm at the field early, do my treatment, get, all my tape and stuff I need done before the games. And then usually I'll get my hair braided by Cassidy Pickering. She braids like everyone's hair. So waiting my turn in line for that. And then getting my hair braided, do my hair. I always do either a slick back or a braid into a ponytail with 2 bubbles, and then our ribbon of the weekend. We always have a different ribbon, something meaningful to us that we all wear. So I think that's a super cool part of it. And then pregame, I'm always drinking Great Propel in the dugout pregame all the time. And then, get my uniform on, get ready. I'm not very superstitious at all about really anything, but just having fun in the locker room with my teammates and then going out and starting pregame.
Georgia Chick-fil-A, that checks. You can't leave that behind. I know it's omnipresent now, but Georgia's where it's really, we all know the Chick-fil-A in Georgia.
I know, I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. I remember learning about it when I was a kid at Nationals travel ball from a team from Georgia. I'm a California girl, and she was like, y'all never had Chick-fil-A? And I was like, no, I haven't. And then now I get it. I totally get it.
Oh, it's good. I love it. Yes.
It took a while to migrate west to where we were, Jenna. I think I was not till 30 or 30 when it happened. So it was a while. But now that I live in the midst of it, it's totally crazy. I mean, the efficiency of the line, though, it's never a wait. That's the
impressive.
My point exactly. Yes. Agreed.
They know what they're doing. What sauce do you get typically?
I'm a Chick-fil-A sauce girl.
Same.
If I need to if I want to spice it up, then I'll go Polynesian.
Ooh. Okay.
All right. Get the NIL deal going. Here we go. Chick-fil-A.
I know. This was our plug for that for you. Well, thank you, Kendall. This was awesome. We knew it would be. We appreciate you taking the time, especially during such a crazy time in the season and a crazy time in your life, really, in a lot of ways.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
I like chatting with Kendall for many reasons, but one of them is I feel like she seems like she has it figured out as a freshman, which is just so impressive in many ways. But it's this balance of she's so confident, but there's no ego either. It's just hard to strike.
I know. She is. I was so impressed with she was very personable. She's fun. She has a good, like you said, perfect balance. And she doesn't come off as she's not quiet where I don't know about to do media, but she's not egotistical. She seems like a person you could just hang out with and she'd be completely normal, despite the fact that she's the best freshman in the country and hitting balls. So just her upbringing, whatever did it, she's amazing. And it's going to be fun to have her for 4 years because she's already tremendous, doing interviews and everything, which is, I'm very excited to see what happens to her career. It's, really can't start much better. I'm sure she would have a lot of flaws she could point out because that's what she seems like, that type of person.
Right.
It was a tremendous interview. I really enjoyed getting to know her a little bit more.
Yeah, and she's well on pace to break the freshman single season home run record, which is 30. She's got 19. So I'm sure we'll be coming back later down the line during the season to mention that when it happens.
Wells on pace too. Look at you. It's kind of, I don't know if you intended it, but you did the well on pace. So Kendall Wells, well on pace.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you, Rhiannon. But we also appreciate every single week. It's hard to pick, which is in the best way, but we do have our plays of the week. Rhiannon, I will let you go first on this one because I love yours.
Okay. I picked Arkansas shortstop Atalia Rijo, 7th inning, final game of Georgia. She got all 3 outs by herself. She did have the first baseman pick the first one, but amazing diving play in the hole behind second base, threw from her knees, 1 hop, got the runner out, and then an unassisted double play. She makes web gems regularly. In the Georgia series, she made like 4 or 5 where your jaw just dropped a little bit. Courtney Deifel said she's biased, but she thinks she's the best shortstop in the nation. Issa Torres is still out there. She is phenomenal too. But those two are both great. So I'm not here to break the debate, but defensively, Riho was just amazing this weekend. And so that's why I chose her for my play of the week with that, play in the hole. It's amazing.
Decent amount of velo too, so it looks like it's coming in a little faster. 3-2's driven up the middle. Diving play, Riho, and they got her. Wow! Italia Riho, web gem for Arkansas.
Amazing. Like, I think that's what I said when you first were like, I think this is my play of the week. I was like, yep, that's a perfect one. It's not just the physical ability too, from my vantage point anyway. It's obviously incredible, the dive, everything, but it's the softball IQ, like her one hopping the throw over to first, because it's like, that's going to get there faster, and
Yes.
know the speed and what time you have. Like, that's just,
That's just part of it's instinctual, part of it's softball IQ, a little bit of both, but just repping over and over and just having that presence of mind, when you're like diving for something to like know that it's special. And like, some of that you can't teach, but I'm sure it's a lot of hard work too that goes into it. But she's just fun to watch play. She's very dynamic at shortstop. We've got a lot of good shortstops across the country, but she's one of my favorites to watch every week defensively.
Yep. I love it. Love it. And I love that you pick defense. I typically do. Everyone knows I'm a defensive gal, but I had to go offense this week because it was just extra special. The Leach sisters from Tennessee going back-to-back in home runs, twinning literally. So let's just take a look.
And it's been a windy day today, too, making it even tougher to track. 3-2 pitch, lifted center. Deep! Out of here! The Leach sisters go back-to-back for the Big Orange.
So that was Gabby's. That was the back-to-back. Alana hit hers first, of course. But being able to do that, like, it's just one of the coolest things ever. I mean, the idea of having one sibling play a sport at an elite level is crazy, let alone twins, let alone in their case, they had the older siblings too. And their grandmother, actually, I was looking this up, Wilma Ann Williams Leach. She played professional baseball for the Rockford Peaches in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. So the Leaches are literally in a league of their own.
Yeah, I did a feature on that when Aubrey, who is when she was a freshman at Tennessee way back, it's been like 8-9 years now. That's how old I am and how long I've been here. But it was fun. And the ballpark went crazy. I was actually there for that game. It was really fun. They've never done that before at any level of their career. So that was really cool. And it was just, kind of just one of the, there's so many Leach moments that have happened at Sherry Parker Lee Stadium. And that was just another one. And really, really cool because Alana just got into that was her only at bat of the game. So to feel like she was slotted into there, it had it's one of those things. It's kind of like, was it preordained? It's one of those cool things with the twin stuff, but very, very cool moment for them and their family.
And just the context, you think about, okay, and then Gabby hits the walk-off to seal the sweep over LSU later, and they stay undefeated, and this was on the way to that, maybe it was preordained. Softball gods know things too,
Yeah. And they're ones that work their butt. They weren't ones that came in here and got they earned everything that they've gotten, which is really cool because their sister, Aubrey, obviously she's a phenomenal player. But they had to work a little harder to get their playing time and to get their reps and everything. So it's been really cool to see that rewarded.
And I did get to talk with their dad at the World Series this past season. Yes, which was great. So let's take a look.
Hey D1Softball fans, Jenna Becerra here at the Women's College World Series with Todd Leach. You have not one daughter, not two, but multiple that are involved with this Lady Vols team. 2 twins playing on the team, and then of course Aubrey, who's on staff. For you, getting to see this atmosphere, which is a family affair, how has it been?
It's been great. This is such a great atmosphere, and this is what they've strived for all their careers to get to this position right here. And with the fanfare, everybody that showed up and the games, it's just awesome to be a part of.
And can you show off the back of the jersey for me, the split jersey? Tell me about how this came to be.
Well, it's tough wearing 2 numbers and just can't pick one. And the guy that owns a uniform shop in the Woodlands said, hey, I can make them up with double numbers and everything so you can support both players at the same time. So that's what we went with.
And this seems like a really special team this year. What do you think makes it that way for them?
I just think that they genuinely care for each other. And you were talking about earlier about a family-type atmosphere. They truly believe it. They truly want the other player to succeed and put them in front of themselves. So that makes it special.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck this week.
Oh, thank you very much. Yep. Go Vols.
I don't know if there's a cooler type of thing for a parent than what he and, Mama Leach have had.
I was corresponding with him after that. I said, hey, good weekend for the lead, and he said after Clearwater, Aubrey was teasing Gabby that letting her know that she was last in the home run total for the Leach sisters. She's a little motivated. She's got to make up some ground. So as we saw this weekend, she's starting to do that.
That's awesome because that's the most sister thing I've heard, right? Like that's amazing. And I did get to talk with Gabby in Clearwater. It was after Tennessee beat Nebraska. And she did say, and like her dad reiterated it, that playing at Tennessee has always felt like having a sense of home. So you guys can check that out on our social channels as well. Well, I think the plays of the week are always like mini wins, but we do have an official win and whiff of the week. This should come as no surprise because we've mentioned it a couple of times, but OU becoming the fastest to hit 100 home runs. I mean, it's history. Like we've said, we take it for granted a little bit with them because they make it look so easy. And I love the caption too on the OU softball post on the right, where it's just 0 to 100 real quick, because that is so true. And also the graphic that OU in particular chose, where they actually list out each type of home run in the background that they hit to get to this milestone. Pretty cool. And then SEC Networks on the left side too with Ella Parker, because she is the one who hit the 100th. And we call her Ella out of the Parker for a reason.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of ironic that it came in like a 2-1 game, where like they needed it because it was a 2-run shot. Like, they hit all these like, hey, we've had 7 in one game, 8 in another. And then they had 1 and it was a 2-1 game, but they needed that one. That's pretty cool. That's when it was the 100th.
I agree. Yeah. And so just, how do you not pick this as the win when it's so just unbelievable? So that is the win. It's a glimpse into how they four-peated also is just this kind of excellence that they have over there, that championship mindset. For the whiff of the week, it was actually hard to pick a whiff in my point of view because there were so many cool things that happened. It felt like there were so many wins. So just kind of a fun one in this sense. When we watch broadcasts, we're locked in as softball fans. So seeing this, for example, No Context Softball reposted this, but you look at this Georgia-Arkansas series, obviously a big SEC series, a ranked series, all of those things. It says first name, last name, instead of listing the actual players. And in a very important series, right? To be fair, we see stuff like this all the time across sports, or it could be the wrong people listed, the wrong spelling, the wrong info, whatever it is. Nobody's perfect. I think there's so many people who are part of a broadcast and so much that goes into every moment, including these visuals. You don't really notice unless there's a mistake. But, again, softball fans locked in. So we caught it.
Don't sleep on first name, last name. She's got power to all fields. I mean, that kid coming out, I was covered, she was one of the highest ranked recruits I covered. So be careful. I mean, there's 2 of her. So scary. Could be twins. Could be twins. First name, last name, twins.
Speaking of twinning, yeah. They're leading first name, last name, leading in like every category, I guess.
Player, man. Like I said, she was a high level recruit. No surprise there.
But I mean, if this is the whiff, I feel like we're in a good place.
Yeah,
with softball. So
I caught a guy behind one, and I won't disclose the name, but when I was watching, and it was a great series. kind of nodding off behind home plate. The cameras were like right. And I felt like I was like, oh, this poor guy is caught on camera, just kind of like an older gentleman, probably like nice spring day now at some places, but I was like, oh, and it was not like it was a like tight game. So I'm like, man, God, you got to wake up. Like, this is good stuff. So that was, but hey, my dad's the same way, kind of nods off watching softball. So
it's like a comfort watch.
Yeah, it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. It's not because of the softball's boring. It's just because you're enjoying yourself so much that you're relaxed.
Exactly.
That's what we'll say. Yes.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I like the spin zone. In terms of what's next, team's going to be doing a whole bunch of things over the weekend as usual. For me, I'll be calling actually Nevada-Stanford baseball Wednesday night, but then Notre Dame-Stanford, the ACC softball series, I'll be there Friday and Saturday. And then I'll be doing Boise State-Stanford women's gymnastics for senior day on Sunday. So lots of different sports for me, but still going to be checking every little thing about college softball in between.
Yeah, I'll be tracking pretty much every series as usual, probably writing a few recaps, writing a few if there's any standout performances. And then once Sunday night hits, I will be all women's basketball writing. I'll have like 5 stories I got to do because the selection Sunday, and then doing some like recaps and some, or not recaps, but previews for the regional, whatever the bracket spits out. So all softball all the time up until like once the ESPN show gets on, I got to click over to my women's basketball duties. So like you kind of doing but I love that. I think it keeps me better to do more sports and kind of gives you a better perspective. So yeah, but D1 will be covering every series in some fashion, and we'll be on it and writing the recaps and writing the Daily Dozen and doing some interviews. So just check it out. We'll have tons of stuff. And watch Jenna's gymnastics. She got to call a perfect 10 this last weekend, so I was excited for you.
It was awesome. I mean, it was Jordan Childs, right? So if you follow women's sports, you get it. But just to see something like that in person, I think you're right, though. We talked about that with athletes, right? Like if you're too specialized where you only do one sport, there are some cons to that. I mean, if we are locked into a few different sports, it does make us better, I think, softball.
Especially college, because there's so much going on legislation wise and in different sports and the different needs of different sports. And like, is this good for everything but football and basketball? So that's where I keep it on. I'm like, hey, but have you considered that, softball teams need this? Like, you can't just do this and then baseball, So I think that's where I really appreciate it more than ever, is like you have a more global view, and you can kind of see where some coaches are like, oh, but I'm like, but that's why they do it, because this sport has this. And like, oh, I never considered that. So it gives you a global view. And I just love every sport. So that's part of it too.
Same. Women's sports are the best too. Let's be real. Justin McLeod on our team is going to be on site at that Arkansas-Alabama series, which will be a big one. Eric Lopez from In the Circle will be calling the Baylor UCF series. And then Victor Anderson, also from In the Circle, will be calling the North Florida Stetson series this weekend too. So like we said, D1Softball's all over the place as usual.
Yeah, I'm a utility hitter. I got to track every single other thing going on. And then if something breaks out, like, which is fine, because I had a home game the last 2 weekends. So now I'm kind of, I'll be hitting utility and kind of coming off the bench when needed.
Versatility though. Huge.
I don't mind it. I like, it's kind of cool to be able to like sit and focus on a few games at once. I love being at the field though. It was fun these last few weekends, but I'm a little break is good, get revved up again. So
100%.
Still be writing.
Oh yeah. And if you want to check out everything she's writing, which you should, because she's one of the best to do it, we do have a discount code for you for all subscriptions, monthly or annual, for D1Softball.com. Save 25% with code season26. And all the things we've mentioned, the daily dozens, the what we learned and features, and so many things that Rhiannon and the whole writing team work on the website, as well as some of the digital stuff we do too, some stuff from social media, podcasts, etc. But especially the in-depth coverage that they do, you can get it for a discount. So 25% off season 26. Well, thank you again, Rhiannon. This was awesome, as it always is. And yes, you better believe it's the second of many, I'm sure.
Great. I love it every time. It flies by. I love talking softball with you, and I love all the interviews. So let's do it again.